All right, welcome back. Today we're doing the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland. The hypothalamus and the pituitary gland are located in the brain. The pituitary gland is comprised of the anterior pituitary and the posterior pituitary. In this video, we're going to go over the posterior pituitary, but in the next one, we're going to go over the anterior pituitary. So it's going to be like a two-part video here. So let's quickly look at this figure here. So the hypothalamus, is on the top right here, this little orange section. And the rest of it is part of the pituitary gland. So the hypothalamus essentially sits on top of the pituitary gland. This pink section is the anterior pituitary, and this back section here, this tan-looking cream section, is the posterior pituitary. Notice that there are veins that kind of go from the hypothalamus and go to the anterior pituitary. This is not true for the posterior pituitary. We're going to go over that a little bit more in depth. So the hypothalamus, I like to call it as the hormone stimulating factory. Why? The hypothalamus is known for secreting hormones that actually stimulate the production of more hormones. So the gist of it is the hypothalamus, this section over here, it's going to produce hormones, stimulating hormones. This usually travels down the veins and goes to the anterior pituitary. Since we secreted stimulating hormones, it's going to stimulate the anterior pituitary to create more hormones. So let's go for some examples here. So the hypothalamus is going to make these hormones in pink. The first one it's going to make is thyroid releasing hormone, or TRH. So the hypothalamus is going to make thyroid releasing hormone. That is the name. It's going to basically go into the veins. It's going to go to the anterior pituitary. This will cause the anterior pituitary to secrete thyroid hormone. Not thyroid releasing hormone, right? Thyroid hormone. So it's kind of in the name what's gonna happen, right? Is the releasing part is gonna go to the name, the thing prior to it. For example, corticotropin releasing hormone, or CRH, is going to cause the anterior pituitary to secrete corticotropin. We're going to go over the anterior pituitary in the next video, but don't worry about it. But just know these hormone names, right? Releasing hormone. All these are releasing hormones. So look at a growth hormone, releasing hormone. The hypothalamus secretes this. So GHRH, growth hormone, releasing hormone. This would go, into the veins, right? It's made in the hypothalamus, goes down the veins, goes to the anterior pituitary, and it causes the anterior pituitary to secrete growth hormone. So think about all these hormones the hypothalamus makes are kind of like stimulating hormones. They stimulate something to happen, another hormone production. The hypothalamus also makes gonadotropin releasing hormone. Gonadotropin is gonads is basically your sex organs. Okay? That's literally what it is for hypothalamus. It's just you need to remember these four hormones. And they're all releasing hormones. They all have releasing in the name. The posterior pituitary is different. The posterior pituitary is kind of known as the storage site for hormones, but that's not really the important part. The important part is it actually makes two hormones. Yes, it does actually not in hypothalamus. This is in the posterior pituitary. So the posterior pituitary does make hormones. However, the posterior pituitary only makes two types of hormones here. One is oxytocin, and the second one is vasopressin. Vasopressin also goes by a different name called ADH. So let me right here, ADH. What ADH stands for is antidiuretic hormone. You're probably wondering what the name diuretic means. Diuretic means urinate, or to go pee. So for example, if you drink coffee, you'll notice that if you drink coffee or like an energy drink, you wanted to go, you feel like maybe 30 minutes later, you feel like you have to go to the bathroom or something. That's a diuretic. It makes you want to go pee. Vasopressin, on the other hand, is an antidiuretic. So it literally means anti-urinate hormone. We're not going to pee. This is very important for the kidneys, which we're going to go over when we actually get to the kidneys. But I'll give you a little brief overview first. So let's do oxytocin. So oxytocin stimulates uterine contractions in childbirth and lactation after childbirth. So when the mother's in labor, oxytocin is going to be secreted from the posterior pituitary and increase contractions. More oxytocin, more contractions. We need to push that baby out of there, right? And after the baby is delivered, it's also going to secrete, oxytocin is going to secrete, and we're going to actually get lactation. So the mom is able to produce milk. Vasopressin, or ADH, causes sodium in water retention. When you get to the kidney section, we're going to talk about something called the nephron and the collecting duct. The collecting duct has the ability to reabsorb sodium in water. Don't worry about that, but let me just give you why this is important. So say if you're dehydrated, you've been walking in the desert or you just ran a few miles and you're dehydrated. We don't want to pee. You don't want to urinate because we're going to lose body fluid. We want to save as much water as possible to hydrate our body. We don't want to just pee it out. That is also same with salts, right? So sodium. We don't want to pee it out. It's very important for blood pressure. So if you're dehydrated, would it be a really good idea to pee and urinate and get rid of water? If you're trying to save it and we're dehydrated, right? We need water in our body. So this is what ADH does. It basically tells your kidneys, hey, no need to pee. We need to save as much water as possible. And that right there is the hypothalamus and the posterior pituitary gland. And just a little recap here, right, is that the posterior pituitary is this section, and it makes its own hormones. So the hypothalamus makes the thyroid releasing hormone, the corticotropin releasing hormone, the growth hormone releasing hormone, and the gonadotropin releasing hormone. And this would all go to the anterior pituitary. The posterior pituitary is known for a storage site for hormones. It is basically like a storage container for excess hormones, but also makes and releases oxytocin and vasopressin. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. I'm going to be doing anterior pituitary tomorrow or the next video, whenever that comes. But until then, later.